Hey, what's up everyone and welcome to the School of Personal Finance. In this video, we're going to talk about the basics of using financial institutions, credit cards, mobile apps, fintech, all of these things in your daily money management, in your daily lives. So now this is the second video in my series, Personal Finance for Students. But honestly, this will help young adults, even some older adults as well. So I hope that you find it helpful. Let's get to it. All right, so in this video, we're just gonna scratch the surface. For each one of these topics, we could go on. I could have a whole course on each one of these topics. I actually have a course called Credit Card Masterclass in the Education Center if you wanna check that out. And I do have other videos on my YouTube channel where we do a little bit deeper dive into credit cards, into getting out of debt, into using financial institutions. So we're really gonna stick to the basics in this one. Let's start with banking institutions. So now we have very big banks like Wells Fargo, Chase, Bank of America. Then we have smaller banks. You could have community banks, you could have credit unions, and they all pretty much offer the same products and services. Some specialize in specific things, but for the most part, they all offer deposit accounts, which are checking accounts, savings accounts, money market accounts. They all offer loans, mortgages, home equity lines of credit, personal loans, credit cards, car loans, and they all offer investments. Maybe not all of them, but most of them offer investments as well. So like brokerage accounts where you could buy stocks, bonds, mutual funds, investment products. And these banks, they're in the business of making money, right? So let's start with like deposit accounts. So now a checking account is something that everybody really still needs in this world. You walk into a bank, you open up a checking account, you deposit money into that account. So you take your money, you put it in the bank, and they keep it safe for you. And then you are able to access that money through either writing checks, which nobody really does anymore, or through a debit card where you could go ahead and you could withdraw money from an ATM machine, or you could make purchases in a store using a debit card where you swipe it, and then the money will automatically be deducted from your checking account. Then you also have savings accounts or money market accounts where you could put your money on deposit in the bank. They will keep it safe for you and they will pay you interest. Unfortunately, they pay you very little interest these days, to the point where it's not even worth having a savings account anymore because the interest is so minuscule that all it does is annoy you. Hopefully, as rates start to go up, we will earn more interest on savings accounts. But those are the two main accounts that people have in banks. Some things that you really need to look out for are the fees. You don't want to pay any fees to have checking and savings accounts. So you have to be very careful and be selective when choosing which bank you want to have your checking account with. And there are online banks as well where they don't actually have brick and mortar banks that you could walk into where everything is done online. But the main thing is you don't want to get charged an account minimum fee. You don't want to have overdraft fees. You don't want to have these monthly maintenance fees. You want to avoid all fees when dealing with a checking and a savings account at a banking institution. Some banks will also offer free ATM withdrawals at foreign ATM machines. The whole point is you don't want to pay anything for these bank accounts. You don't want to have any fees on there. And some of the fees can be outrageous. You have to be careful. Like an overdraft fee, some banks will charge you like $25 if you overdraw your account for each item that you purchase. So a simple example would be if you only have $50 in your checking account and you go and you make a purchase for $70 at a store, it would allow the transaction to go through and then they'll charge you $25 for the overdraft fee. And then if you don't even realize that you overdrew your account and then you go buy something else for $8, and you have no money in your account, they will bang you for another overdraft fee. And that could continuously happen until you hit a point that they cut you off. But at that point, you could have paid hundreds of dollars in overdraft fees. So you just want to be very careful how the fees work in your bank accounts. And now when it comes to the different types of loans that banks offer, you definitely want to shop around and make sure that you are getting the best deal, especially with mortgages when you go to purchase a home, or even with credit cards or car loans or personal loans. Banks have different specialties and they might want specific loans where they'll offer you a more attractive rate to win your business. So it's always worth shopping around and seeing where you could get the best deal, especially for credit cards as well. Different banks and institutions are always changing their credit card offers depending on what's going on. So you want to always see what those offers are. Some might have a 0% interest rate where you don't get charged interest on any purchases for the first 12 months, or they might offer you a sign-on bonus, things like that. So you just always want to be shopping around and not get yourself tied into any specific financial institution when making these decisions. Now, it's also very important to know that banks, they're in the business of making money. So they are always trying to sell you products. They will bombard you with mail, with invitations to come in and sit down for a review and talk about your accounts and apply for this personal loan and this credit card. They are constantly trying to get into your pockets and win your business. So you have to be cognizant of that and don't just assume that they are all there to just kind of help you go about your day and make life easier for you. They want your business because they earn revenue off of it. So you want to understand that. Now, this also holds very true for investment accounts. If you go into a bank or financial institution and they have an investment advisor in the bank, you want to be very careful about what they're trying to sell you, what they're trying to put you in. You want to do a lot of research and not just jump in and do whatever it is that they recommend that you do. And technology and ease of use, those are also big factors when deciding where you want to have your bank. So like you want to make sure that they have a great mobile app, that their website is very easy to navigate, that you could transfer money very easily between accounts without any fees or anything like that. Most banks offer that these days. Maybe some small community banks might not be up to the same level as like a Wells Fargo or Chase might be with their technology. But you just want to make sure that you are comfortable using the website, that the mobile app is great, and that you could, remote deposits, things like that, just to make your life easier. All right, so now let's switch gears a little bit and go over to credit cards. And I'm going to go into more detail of how credit cards work in the fourth video of this series. But for now, let's just get an understanding of what credit cards are and even how you get one. So let's start with how you get one. So to get a credit card, it might be tough if you are like in high school or you're in college because they go by your credit score. So you have to put an application in and then they will run your credit score to see if you are worthy of having a credit card. And in a lot of cases, you're not going to have a credit score or a credit history because you've never borrowed money before. So what some students will do is they will get their parents to either apply jointly for a credit card, or they will become an authorized user on an existing card that their parent might already have. Now, this could be a great thing, especially when you're in high school or you're in college. You become an authorized user, meaning that you are not an owner of the credit card, but that your parent is allowing you to be a user on the credit card. And what this does is it allows you to start building a credit history. All right, so as your parents use their credit card and they make the payments every month, it'll actually start improving your credit score. They actually don't even need to give you the credit card. They could just make you an authorized user and it will start to build your credit. So that's a great way to get started. Other banks, some institutions, they offer secured credit cards where you put a deposit. Let's say you put $200 in the bank and then they will give you a credit card where you could then charge up to $200 and they have your $200 as collateral. This is a great way to build credit as well. So there are some strategies, there are some ways to get a credit card when you don't have a credit score. So now, what is a credit card and why does basically everybody in the world use them? So all it really is, it is a loan. It is a line of credit. The bank gives you this piece of plastic and they say, listen, you have a credit limit, let's call it $1,000, where you could go ahead and you could borrow our money. You could swipe this card, buy whatever it is that you want, wherever they accept credit cards, which is basically everywhere. You could make this purchase, walk out of the store with whatever it is that you want to buy, and the bank will pay them. And then what happens is you will get a statement from the credit card issuer, an itemized statement showing all the times you used the card, all the purchases that you made, all the times that you basically borrowed their money. And then you have to go ahead and you have to pay the bank back. So you get your credit card statement, it will have a due date, and you have to go ahead and you have to then pay them back. So it's really like a short-term loan. They'll let you borrow up to $1,000. You go ahead, you swipe your card, it's convenient, it's easy, you use it, you get the bill, you go ahead and you pay them back and you rinse and repeat. So from a high-level overview, that's really how a credit card works. It's basically just a line of credit, a loan that you have available to you from the financial institution. Now, there are definitely a lot of pros to using a credit card, like convenience and ease of use and having everything organized. And also some credit card programs, they offer cash back or rewards programs, airline miles, all these different things to entice you to use their credit card when you go out and you make purchases. So there are a lot of good reasons to have a credit card. But I don't want to make it sound like it's all great, because credit cards, when used the wrong way, they could completely bury you. If you don't pay the full balance by the statement due date, then they will start charging you interest. And the interest rate that they will charge you, they are obscene. You could get buried using credit cards. It makes it very easy for you to go out and spend money that you do not have when you can just use a credit card. So if you have no money in the bank and you're out with your friends and you want to go out to dinner and you want to buy drinks, if you don't have any money in the bank, you could just instead pull some plastic out of your wallet and go ahead and swipe it and you're all good. You could go ahead and buy whatever it is you want. But if you don't have the money to pay that back, then what happens is then you have to start paying interest. And the amount that you start racking up on those credit cards, it could happen very fast without you even really feeling it or realizing it, because you're not feeling the pain of spending that money, because it's all just so easy to just go ahead and swipe. And this is how people get themselves into a lot of trouble. They rack up these big credit card bills, they can't get out from underneath it, and they're struggling. It takes them years to fight their way out of it because the interest that they're getting charged is so obscene. So you have to be very, very careful before using a credit card, before making it a part of your lifestyle. If you're not very good with your finances and on very stable financial ground, then you should not have a credit card. Then you should just use cash or a debit card to go ahead and buy things so you don't get yourself into trouble. So I'm going to leave it at that for credit cards for right now, but just realize that there is a lot more to learn about how credit cards work and how, you don't want to blow yourself up using credit cards. All right, so now we'll switch gears again and we'll talk a little bit about mobile apps and even things like, using Apple Pay and stuff like that. So with mobile apps, the two most popular ones are going to be PayPal and Venmo. So for both of those apps, you could just go ahead and link them to your bank account, right? So if you have a bank account, let's say at Wells Fargo, you could link your PayPal or your Venmo to that bank account. And if you don't have any money in those things in PayPal or Venmo, and you want to go ahead and transfer somebody money, then it'll just pull directly from your bank account. So it's a very convenient, easy way to just send money to people. Like Venmo, people are using it all the time to just, split dinners, whatever it is. If I need to send you $10 right now, I just send it to you on Venmo and boom, it's done. So these mobile apps, they've made it so much easier to do banking. Even Zeal is another one where you could use that through like Wells Fargo or through Chase, where you could just go ahead and transfer somebody money directly from your bank account with no fees. So that is a great way to go. PayPal, like you could use PayPal for businesses. I think you could use Venmo for your business as well. But like even for my business, my wife has a clothing business and everybody pays her through PayPal. So it's very convenient. You could invoice people and they just send you the money for your services. So they are widely used, widely accepted, and they're a great way to just manage the day-to-day movement of money throughout your life. And then things like Apple Pay, like you could have your credit card attached to different things. You could have a digital wallet on your phone where, like, for example, I use Apple products, so I could go into a store and I could just tap my phone on a credit card processor and it will go ahead and it will charge my credit card. So I don't have to carry around plastic with me anymore. And it just offers convenience. But there is a credit card that is backing those things up. So even on my watch, I have like my Chase Sapphire Preferred credit card. In my Apple Wallet, I go ahead and I tap on there and it will charge my Chase credit card. But having everything digital, it just makes it so much easier than, back in the day when I was younger. I actually worked in the bank for the first 8 years of my career when I first graduated college. A couple years after I graduated college, I worked in the bank. So I got very familiar with the inner workings of the bank and how they drive profitability and all the different products that they offer. So banks, they're definitely out looking to make money. Even through these credit cards, you have to be very careful not to pay, fees for late payments. The interest rates, they're ridiculous. So you just want to be very cognizant of how all of these things work. And it's not rocket science. It's not that hard. It just takes a little bit of time to learn them and get used to them, but it will get you off on the right foot with all of your finances. So it's worth putting in the time to really understand how they all work. In the future, we're going down the road of cryptocurrencies, digital currencies. We don't know what that's going to look like yet, but you could transfer money through other apps like Cash App, and you could transfer crypto back and forth very easily. So all of that stuff is just going to get better and better, and we'll see where the future takes us. But for the purposes of this video, I just wanted to give you a high-level overview about how all this stuff works, just so you have a basic idea of what you're getting into and what you're signing up for and things that you want to look out for. So I hope that you found this one helpful. I'll see you in the third lesson. Take care.